One second. Mesechta Shavous. We're starting with the second wide line on the bottom. So we learned the machlokes between Rav and Shmuel. We know when it comes to Moed Miktsas, there's three in your. There's the Taina, there's the Kfira, the Taina, the Kfira, and the Hoidah. Lametesa with base. So the Kfira, according to Rav, has to be on Shtei Mois. And the Hidah could be even on a pruta. So therefore, the taina has to be at least 2 mois because with a pruta. The second line from the wide lines. The kfira has to be on 2 mois of kesef. The Hidah could be even a pruta. But if the Hidah is a pruta, so then you have less than shtei mois kesef in the taina. And you have to have the kfira on full 2 mois besides the Hidah. So he says the taina has to be what? He has to deny 2 mois, right? Be made in a pruta. So in order that out of the 2 mois, so it had to be 2 mois and a kesef in order. According to Rav, the taina had to be 2 mois and a pruta. The kfira was on 2 mois and the hidah was on a pruta. According to Shmuel, it could be 2 mois kesef in itself. Because the kavira could be bepruta and the hidah could be bepruta.
Where is it?
Tanan. No, right. And therefore the taina could be just 2 mois of kesef. Says the Gemara Tanan. And now we're going to bring a raya to Rav that the kfira has to be on 2 mois kesef. Now we learned in the Mishnah, in our Mishnah, somebody who says this, man, shtei kesef, yes to be yotcha. I have 2 mois kesef in your hand, and the Nitva says, no, ain't no chabi yad el pruta. I made it to only a pruta. Potter is potter. My taina, why is he potter? Lav mishum chas la taina. Because in the kfir it's missing. Because the chatchila he only has for 2 mois, and he was made with pruta. So and the kfir now is less than 2 mois. So therefore he's potter because you need the kfir on 2 mois. Well, to you for the Shmuel, Zakash and Shmuel. Shmuel says. You don't need a kfir and 2 mois, kfir even a b'shava pruta. Why would he be potter? He should have been chayiv. Yeah, it's a Mishnah. The Mishnah says he's chayiv according to. I'm sorry. The Mishnah says he's potter. So according to that, it makes sense why he's potter because the kfira was not on the full 2 mois because he was made out of the 2 mois a pruta. That's why he's potter. But it's Shmuel. Why was he potter? Shmuel is going to say he's a shavik. Do you think we're talking about the Shavous when he said, I have 2 mois in your hand? He was talking about the worth of 2 kesef? And he answered, no, I have the worth of a pruta. Then you're right, it's called a midah some worth. He says, I don't have the value of 2 kesef, I have the value only of a pruta. That's called midah. But he says here it wasn't a midah Dafka kitoni. He says he was talking about specifically, he told him silver pieces. And he answered, I have a copper piece. So it's not mimina taina. If it's not mimina taina, so it's not a made of a mixas. That's how Shmuel learns the pshat. Dafka kitani. When it says kesef, it doesn't mean the worth of 2 kesef. It means kesef itself. And when he was made the prut and the cheshes, he meant the cheshes. So mashatani loy hayda masha hayda loy tani. It wasn't mimina taina. A pruta is the cheshes.
A copper penny. A kesef is a $silver.
So why does he say straight what he means?
He says that's the wording in the Mishnah. Kesef, shtei kesef yesh lebiyatcha, and a pruta always means pruta in the cheshes. Okay, zok Yimari Yachi. If so, if now he's going to answer. Wait, Yachi. In fact, Yimari, if you're saying taka, it's tafke kesef, and no, it's not a ra'is Shmuel because Rav says it's going on the worth. And it's a megillah mixas, but the reason why he was potter because it wasn't a denial on the full 2 kesef. In fact, if so, if kesef necheshes, it means mamish. It means like Shmuel says, when it says kesef, it means silver, not the worth. And when it says put, it means necheshes. Says look what it says in the sefer. Shtei kesef upruta. Now you have 2 kesef with a pruta. Yes, I have in your hand. He says, no, I have only a pruta. It says chayiv. How can it be chayiv? It's eina meida min taina. The taina was kesef, right? And he's answering the cheshes. Oh, that's the chapun. Very good. If you're going to say you're talking about the Shavous, the worth of it, so then that's why he's going to be chayiv, because he is a regular made of mixas. But if you're talking about kesef means silver, and cheshes means necheshes, is Eliyamata dafke? If you're going to say it means dafke kesef and dafke necheshes, am I chayiv? Why should be chayiv? Mashatanai, what he's tining is not being made to Mashahida, like Tony, and what he's being made is not tining.
What's this?
Huh?
Okay.
So how does he learn the sefer that says chayiv? It should be pate if it's not mimina taina. Says Gemara, what are you talking about? Listen to the case. Rabbi Raski Betsy said the answer already. Midu taina. What he says? This your taina is Elul Shmuel. You're asking a kasha and Shmuel. You know what Shmuel shita is? Look what the taina was. The taina was that it have two kesef and a prut in the cheshes, and he was made on a prut in the cheshes.
Right.
So Hagam, he's a koifa hakel in the kesef, so he shouldn't swear. But Shmuel says we look at it as a package deal. So if out of the whole taina he was made it to something, that's called a made of b'mikzas. His taina was two kesef and prut in the cheshes. So if he was made even just to the prut in the cheshes and nothing of the silver, he's not called a koifa hakel. He's called a made of b'mikzas. This is what he's going to say. Rav Nachman said in the name of Shmuel, if the taina chatchila was both chitin and soiden, like over here, kesef and pruta, and he was made to one of them, even though he's a keifa hakel and the other chayv is a chayv, he considers it as a package, and if he's made it to part of the package, he's called a made of a mikzas. And it's so too, it's reasonable to say that when it says kesef in the Mishnah, it means dafke kesef, and when it says necheshes, it means dafke necheshes. Where in the Ketani Sefer, look in the Sefer. Sefer in the Mishnah says, liter zav. Liter is a big weight of gold. He says, I have a big weight of gold, yesh libiyot, in your hand. I give you a big stick of gold. Today, an ounce of gold, I think, is 3,300. It's a lot of money.
Today.
It's gone up. And ein lecha liter kesef, an ounce of silver, I think, is $6. It's nothing. Yeah.
I mean, not nothing, but you can't compare.
You can't compare. So he says, he says, I only have the weight of kesef, a liter kesef. Potter, he's potter. Now,
talking about kesef.
no, here kesef,
Kesef.
one is zahav and one's kesef, so it's two different meaning. Now, if you learn in the Mishnah that kesef means kesef, a dafke, and silver means silver dafke, that's why the Mishnah said he's potter, because it's not Meida min ha'taina. It's not min ha'taina. We'll get to that soon. Okay. But if you're going to say it's the worth, when you say lit zav, you don't mean the zav. And when you say lit kesef, it doesn't mean kesef. It means only the worth. So l'chayda, that's a regular made of a mixer. So my potter, why should he potter? Even according to Rav, he should be chai, because lit zav is such a big amount that it's a liter is like I don't know if he brings down how many. It's like 24, I think. It's a lot.
What would be the shiloh according to Rav?
The shiloh Rav is, why does the Mishnah say he's potter? He's a regular made of a mixas. Rav learns it's Shavous, and you can't say he wasn't. There was no kvira on 2 mayos. Liter is 100. Is a lot more than 2 mayos. There's enough to be kaif in 2 mayos and be made in a prota, and there's a lot left over. And he would have been chayv ashua. Why shouldn't he be chayv ashua? Why does the Mishnah say he's potter? Says you want to have the sefer dafke. So from this that the sefer says it means so it's shmol. So he has to hold its dafke, right? So even Rav will hold its dafke. That's why it was potter, because kesef meant literally kesef, and zov means zov, and it wasn't made of min ha'taina. That's why even Rav said he was potter in this case. If the sefer is dafke, so the reisha that we spoke about before, why are you saying it's Shavios? Reisha nami dafke. Say the reisha is dafke kesef zov, and you said that shtei ma'is kesef yesh libiyotcha, and he says ein lecha biyod ela pruta potter. So say it's talking about it was not made of min ha'taina. And that's why he was potter, not like Rav says, because there wasn't a kvira of 2 kesef. He says, let us say it's a kash on Rav. Why? Because the only reason why he was potter, because it was dafke. It wasn't min ha'taina kesef, and he said nechoshes. He was made necheshes. But what's if it would have been the Shavius? He would have been chayv ashvua, even though the kfira would have been less than 2 mice. Zakasha Rav. Okay, and the Rav is going to say kula maslis l'shavah. Well, the whole Mishnah is talking about shavah. The whole Mishnah. The case of the litra. The litra is so shiny. When you're talking about litra, means the weight of the gold. There's no other way to interpret it. You see, when you say a dinner zav, you can say the word. When you say litra, I'm telling you, I'm giving you exactly the weight of a litra. Let's say a pound of, let's call a litra a pound of gold. So that's that. He can't change it. That's what it was. It meant dafke. So only that case has to be talking about kesef and zohav, because he used the word litra. But if you wouldn't have used it, that's why he wasn't min. That's why he's potter. But our reisha, you could talk about the Shavius. Says the Gemara take the Araya that the rest of the Mishnah, except for the case of litra, is talking about the Shavius. I'll show proof to you. Only the worth of it. The Katani Sefer, it says in the Mez Sefer, dinas of biyadcha, I have a dinar of gold in your hand. And the Nitva says, Ein chaviyad el dinar kesef. I only have a dinar kesef. Or he says, utreses, even a smaller coin. Yeah, upunyin, a smaller coin. Upruta, even a smaller coin. Shakol min matbeya achasei. He says it's all from the same matbeya. So he says, Shabbos, it says, Hakol min matbeya means it's all from the same mean because we're talking about Shabbos. So it's therefore it's moed min atayna. Now, if you say we're talking about Shabbos, that's why he's chayiv, because he's a made of a mixer. If you're going to say when it says that dina zav and he's made of kesef, and you're saying it means literally zav and kesef, am I chayiv? Why should he be chayiv? He said, these are cheshes, whatever. No, none of them is min atayna. The only way that you could interpret the Mishnah to be chayiv as a moed ben mikzas, if you're talking about the Shavius. But if you're talking about dafka, that it means silver, gold means gold. So, why should it be chayiv? It's not a moed ben mikzas. It's not min atayna. Rabbi Lezer says, no, it's nishkenaya. We could talk about dafka also. But here the element is, they all have in common mint, that it's a minted coin. It's a mint of gold, but we're talking a minted coin. A minted coin means that there's a face on it. So the minted coins. So he says, I didn't zav. He says, no, I have a minted coin of silver. But it's all coins, it's all matbeis, it's all of the same min. So therefore it has a din as a made by mixas. And you can learn dafke. When he was talking about by a din of matbeis, so he was made a different matbeis, that's called a... In Matbei, it's called a Medu Mixer. So Kamash Malan, the Prut Bechal Matbei, and he's coming to tell you that a Prut is also a Matbei, a minted coin. Even though it's the Cheshes, but if it's minted, it's called a minted coin. Daikanami, I'll bring you a raya from the words of the Mishnah. The Ktani, the word of the Mishnah said, the reason why it's considered as a Medu Mixer, Shahakoil min Matbei Achas, they're all of the same mean of minted coins. Yeah, Shakol min matbei achas. Yeah, that says in the Mishnah. It says how's we going to say it's all Shavius? If it says the word Shakol min matbei achas, it says no. Shakol din matbei achas is come to tell you that Shakol, even the pruta, he says if he's made it even in such a little amount like a pruta, it's called a hidah. A made of mixes. Keep going. Kan shahidah pruta. She'ercha 1/4800th. It's a very small minute amount of a dinar zav. It's like I'm telling you, you owe me $1 million, right? And you answer me, no, I'll be made it to you. I owe you 1 penny. So is that called a made of zav? No, that's how he said. He says it's called. He calls that. That's what he. That's the mashal he's giving. Look, shahida bepruta. He was. He did in Pruta She'echa 1/4800 Medina Zav Shetabay. He's asking for 4,800. He says 1 Pruta. 1 minute. So he says Daiba Heidah Zu. If he says even the word Pruta, he's already Chayv Ashvor. That was the B'chidash here, according to that. Well, but that we're talking about matbei. He's not come to tell you it's all mimina matbei. He's coming to teach you even a matbei of a pruta that he's being made legabi 4,800 that he's asking for is also called
You're
Aidam
talking about
Mitzvah.
Shabbos then?
Yeah, according to Rav. So whatever Rabbi like me the Sefer Kishmol Netaretz. So the Gemara says lechera. He explains the Sefer of the Mishnah like Shmuel. That Rabbi Lezer says it's talking about matbeya dafka, right? Shakol min matbeya. So according to Shmuel, Reisha nami kishmuel asirelei. So let us say the Reisha, according to Shmuel, should be the same. It means dafka matbeya. When he asked, "You owe me 2 dinar kesef," and he answered, "I owe you a pruta," say it's considered as a meidum mixus because it's all minted coins. So it should be a meidum mixus. So learn dafka matbeya in the Reisha, and it would be a kasha and Rav. So because we said over there he's part because it wasn't Atayna, it's mashma. If it wouldn't be matbeyas, it would be Shavous. And even though it was only 2 mice and he was made the bipruta, it would still be chayv shvua. Zakash Avraham says loy. No. Dafka, the sefer is dafka. Sefer, you're saying he meant dafka the coins. Why? Because he learns the Ketani. Rabbi Lezer learns shakol min matbeya achas. The Mishnah emphasized that we're talking about minted coins. So silver and gold means silver and gold. But the Reisha, where it doesn't say the word Hakol min Mabeya Achas, you can learn Kedav that it was the Shavous, or you can learn like Shmuel that it was the Mamish the Mabeya. In this Sefer where he says Befedish the reasons Shakol min Mabeya Achas, so then we're talking about Dafke. You're talking about it's all minted coins. But in the Reisha, Lav Dafke, he didn't use those words.
The Sefer is going to go according to who?
So the Sefer, Rabbi Lezer says the Sefer is talking about Dafke. The Rav says Lav Dafke. But Rabbi Lezer says Dafke, says the Gemara, according to Rabbi Lezer, that you're learning the Sefer means Dafke, so the Reisha should also be Dafke. It should be a Kasha on Rav. He says, no, Rav in the Reisha could learn Shavius also, because in the Sefer Dafke, he used the words Hakoil min Mabeya Achas, that we were emphasizing the minted coins. And the Reisha doesn't say those words. So you can learn Shavius.
What's the fact? Is he saying a fact?
It's a machlokes. No, he's not saying a fact from the Reisha. In the Reisha, you can learn like Rav that it's Shavius, or like Shmuel, it means Dafka. You have no proof either way.
Rav will never hold if it's a Mabeya, one Mabeya against the other Mabeya, it's all good.
If it's one Mabeya against, if it's a Mabeya, then he says even if one is Kesef Zav, everybody agrees. If you're looking at the minted coins, then it's called a Meidum Miktsas. If you're looking at the silver, if it wasn't minted coins, it wasn't Mabeya, then it's not Miminat Taina. It's not minted.
But what does Rav hold in general then? What?
That Kvira, the whole Machlekes at the end comes out. When it comes to Meidum Miktsas, what does the Taina have to be? What does the Kvira have to be? What does the Hidah have to be? According to Rav, it has to be, the Taina has to be at least 2 ma'is of Kesef with a Pruta. Because the Kvira has to be in 2 ma'is, and the Hidah has to be in one, at least in 1 Pruta. So you need, in the Taina should be 2 ma'is. That's the Klav. And Shmuel says it could be 2 ma'is itself, because the Kvira can be Bipruta, and the Hidah can be Bipruta. Okay. Zak the Gemara, Tashma, come in here, and I'll bring you a raya from the Brais like Rav, that the Kvira has to be on 2 ma'is Kesef. Dinas of Zoh. It says Adinas of Zohuv means that it was minted. It means the matbeya. Libi Yadcha, I have a minted golden dinner in your hand. It says Ein lecha biyad ela dinner kesef chayiv. We say the Nitva says I only have a dinner of kesef. He's chayiv because that is he said befedish Zohuv. That nobody argues. It means a minted coin. A time, and the whole reason is the Amalei Zohuv Zohuv, only because he said it's minted. What's if he says stam dinazov and he doesn't say zohuv that it's minted? Shabbat kamalei. So I would say that you're only looking at Shavius. So you see a ladaya to Rav that when it says dinazov, it means only Shavius, because if it meant minted, it has to say zohuv after it. Rav says no, you're learning wrong. Hachikama, you can learn the pshat like this. Kol ha'ima dinazov. Whoever says dinazov stam, the pshat when he says zov, it means zov. That means automatically zov. So you can't prove. So it could be minted coins dafke.
So all the cases where he says dinazov, then
it could mean Shmuel can learn that was the pshat when it says zov. He says, well, it says Dina Stam. It means Zov. It means minted. Okay, Tanya Rab Chia says,
Rav doesn't hold it. It says it's not so.
no, Rab says only where it says Zov. It's minted. If it doesn't say, they're still arguing.
So
I
there,
know.
then it doesn't.
If it says
doesn't
Dina
matter.
Stam,
That's
it
only
means
the court.
Shavous.
That's only about the court.
Still
Right.
It doesn't matter. It has to be two and then a four.
Shavius. It's the Shavius. Okay. Tanya Rab Chia said, L'sayir the Rav to help her to bring her right to Rav. Sell it li b'yotcha. He says, I have a cell of mine in your hands. And he says, Ein lecha b'yodeh elech seller chasa shtei ma'is kesef. He says, no, I have only a seller missing 2 ma'is kesef. So you see, the
How many
kfira,
miles?
It's not a full seller.
a seller has, I saw it before, 24 ma'is.
24 miles.
Yeah.
So it says it's missing something in the seller.
So he says, yeah, he says, I have not a full seller, I have
Missing.
two mice less.
Oh,
A seller is 24. I
Yeah,
have 22. 22 mice less. So he says he's high. He's high. Why? Because the kfira was on 2 mice. Chosemar, but what's if he says no? The kfira, he says, was
I have
only.
23.
I have 23, and I'm only denying in 1 ma, not in 2 mice. Get pata, he's pata, because there wasn't a kfira on 2 mice. Like Rav, is that right Rav? That's what he's saying. I have a right Rav. Sagt die Mona Rav Nachman, Rav Yitzchak Mashmot Leishano. Now he's telling you a new chiddush that everybody would agree, even Rav would agree. There are times that you don't have to have kfira b'shtei ma'is. So he says Leishano Elabatanis Malva Vahidas Leiva. When did the Rav say that you need a kfira b'shtei ma'is? Is with the Leiva is Kaifa and Hoide himself. The Leiva is being made himself. But Tanis Malva Hadas Eidach. Let's say the Malva Tainas, you owe me money. And the guy, the Leiva, is denying everything, and Sukum Ta'id. And Aid says, no, you owe a little bit. And he's not kaifa bit too much.
So the end is the middle mixers.
The Aid macht him schwer. I feel like on a Elbe Pruta, even if the Taina was a Pruta. The whole Taina was a Pruta. And he denied everything, and the Aid came and says, no, you owe a half a Pruta. I'm sorry. 2 Prutas here, he says, even if even a half a Pruta. Chayiv, no, not a half a Pruta, it has to be a minimum of Pruta. If the Taina was a Pruta, it has to be a Pruta. Chayiv. He's chayiv to swear. My time, what's the reason?
What was he like? What did he like him?
Huh? The whole thing he like him. And the Eid Echad says, no, you owe it. You owe the Pruta. So the Kfira was only on a Pruta anyway, even if they did not
Where's
have
the
it.
money that mixes?
No, the Eid is saying you owe.
His
So there, Lo Yaakam Eid, so he would have to swear anyway, even though the whole Kfira was on 1 Pruta.
There have to be two.
That's what he gemonted.
Yeah, so what? But it's still, you're going to be Chayv Shvua, even
But
though
they have two.
there's only 1 Pruta and it's not 2 mice.
What kind of shvush was they?
Yeah, sure. Lo Yaakam Eidach Beish L'chol Avin L'chol Chatos. L'chol Avin L'chol Chatos Udei Nekam. That meaning he's not going to, 1/8 cannot be Mechayiv somebody punishment for the goof or Chiv of Mammon. But 1/8 could be make him be Chayv Shvua. Latana, and we also learned the B'naisa, a klal. Kol makim shnayim mechayv noisei mamay. Any place where 2 Eidim can be mechayv somebody mamay, and that's a minimum of pruta. He can only be mechayv from pruta and on, not less. Eid echad mechayv shvua. So if an Eid says the guy owes money and he denies that pruta, he's going to be chayv shvua. Now we're going to talk about the shvua of miktsas b'minatayna, not b'minatayna. Now we're going into this topic. No, till now we spoke about the kfira in miktsas. How much does the kfira have to be? Now we're going to a new union. If lechatchila the taina was that you owe me not only chitin but seiner also, and he was made only in one of them, chayiv is chayiv. It's considered as a made of miktsas. Rabbi Yitzchak, Yisha, you said very well. Rabbi Yechon said the same thing.
What does Rav say? What does Shmuel say here?
Shmuel said that even though he's being only made in 1 min and he's being paid for hakol on the other min, he's considered as a made of a
It's
miktsas.
all through it. Is this all through it?
No, he said he tied it chitin and seiden. He was made in the chitin, but he's a paid for hakol in the seiden or faket.
Yes, so-
But it's still considered as a made of a miktsas.
Why?
Because he tied it both chitin and seiden. We look at it as a whole on the whole picture. He was made it to part of the taina, so he's a made of miktsas. He's chayiv. So Rabbi Yitzchak said, you said well. So did Rabbi Yechon say the same thing. If you're only saying Rabbi Yochanan, you're not saying Reish Lakish, so it's mashma Reish Lakish is arguing. Because Reish Lakish always argued with Rabbi Yochanan.
They never got along.
They never got along. I mean, they were brother-in-laws, but he always argued with him. So if you're saying just V'chein Amar Rabbi Yochanan, that means Reish Lakish is arguing. So it says the Gemara, Iked Amri others say Misha Havashoyle v'Shaseklei. Reish Lakish never went against Rabbi Yochanan right away. He let him speak, Zola Andikin, and he gave me even more time to back out. And he gave him this little time, and then he came with an attack. But in the meantime, Rabbi Yitzchak left. He didn't have time to wait till Reish Lakish is going to go argue. So he doesn't know if Reish Lakish was arguing. Yeah, but he didn't know if Reish Lakish was going to argue. He didn't hear. Ikadami others say the reason why he didn't hear Reish Lakish arguing, because Mishnah Shasaklei. At that time, he was drinking. Drinking while he was talking. He took a glass of water, like it would take a glass.
Water, he got drunk?
No, it doesn't say drunk. He was drinking. And the Shasaklei, so he was quiet. In that time, he didn't talk while he was drinking. And the Shlakish, and Rabbi Yitzchak left, so he didn't hear what happened after he finished drinking. Maybe after he had his drink, he went for an attack. And he argues.
Doesn't say what he was drinking.
Okay. Says, let us bring a raya to Shmuel from our Mishnah. It says, Potter. If now the taina was only chitin, not chitin u'seiden. So he gave a taina of chitin, and he was only made of b'seiden, Potter. Rabbi Gamil chayev. Rabbi Gamil doesn't hold that if it's Eidem and Minat Taina, it's not a Meidah b'mikzas. Rabbi Gamil says he's always a Meidah b'mikzas. Says the time of the whole reason why the Tanakama said that he's going to be Potter, because the Tana Chitin, the whole Taina was only Chitin. The Hoydel Leibesheinu, so it's not Minat Taina. But what if the Taina was Chitin and Seinem, the Hoydel Leibesheinu? He's going to be a Chayev Ashur, so you have a Raya to Shmuel. Says Gemara Loi, it's no Raya. Who are they not feeling chitin u'seinin? Nami Potter. The Tanakama there holds, even if he would have taken chitin and seinin, and he would have been made to one of them, he would be Potter. The high the kamiflagi.
Why is he Potter?
Why? Because he's a kefakal in the other min. When he's made in one min, the other min is a kefakal. The high the kamiflagi. Bechitin. Why would you say the machlekes is dafke bechitin or heitlei? Say if they're arguing even when the time is bechitin u'seinin, say there that's a chiddush. Says the Gemara, no, the chiddush is loidiacha koichen der Rabbi Gamil. Rabbi Gamil says he's going to be chayiv even though it's mamish not the same min. He's time only chitin and he was made of seinin. And the chiddush to be mechayiv to take out of somebody's pocket is a greater chiddush than saying okay you don't have to pay. Because that is Gilagin and Kashnas. Here.
So there's no shvua here? What do you mean?
No, he has to swear. Yeah, he's a made of mixas. But if he if he's nishma mishalim, but if he's not going to swear, he's going to have to pay. And we said yesterday, people wouldn't swear. It said the whole story. It was a guy dancing with the Sefer Torah. He was so happy. And they said he must be a tzaddik. He's so happy with the Sefer Torah. No, it's like came to him for brachas. And they asked him, how do you accomplish such a simple? It's very simple. I made a lot of money out of this Sefer Torah. I caused people to swear, and they saw the Sefer Torah, they were afraid, and they paid me money. So, okay, Tashma.
Today you swear?
No, I said in the Deus Rashi saw, nothing in the front from some mention.
Yes.
We warn him because making a person swear.
Now, 1 second. You warned him that he had to swear.
Yeah.
And he got scared and
he paid.
That's how it works.
Yeah. Because it says not only does he get harmed, his family gets harmed by Shua Sheka, and even if it's a Shua Samis, people got harmed.
They just threaten them.
Oh, but here, today, in Rashi's time, they were threatening him with Aklola. They wouldn't make him swear. And they said, Zola Aklola Kumanay if you're going to swear Sheka. That's how they worked it. Okay. Toshma, come in here. I'll bring a eye from the Mishnah from Shmuel, for Shmuel. Tana Kelim Kakois. If he time it Kelim and Kakois. Heard about Kelim Kakois. If he was made with Kelim and he denied in the Kaka or the reverse, he's going to be Potter from a Shvua. Because anything that has to do with a Haidah or Kvida and Karka, there's no Shvua. Ein nishboim al kvidah shivit kakais. Hoyde b'mixes kakais. If he was made a little bit of the kaka potter, he's potter. Again, because ein nishboim al kvidah shivit kakais. The mixes kalim. But what if he was made in the kalim itself? Then chayiv, he's going to be chayiv to swear not on the kalim, but also on the kakais because of Gilgal Shua. Says Gemara, time on the kalim kakais because the kakal bashvuhi. The whole reason is by kalim kakais because on kaka you cannot swear. How about a kalim doing the kalim kakais? Let's say there was 2 sets of kalim, and he says I have these 2 sets of kalim by you. And he's made by one kalim, but they're different meaning. Chayiv, he's chayiv shvua. So we have a raiv to Shmuel that even though they're 2 different meaning the kalim, and he was only made it to one of them, he's chayiv shvua. So it's a raiv to Shmuel. Says you want to know who I didn't have to kalim nami potter. Really, kalim is also potter. If by kalim is potter, and where there's no karka. He's part of a sure kelim kakos. Why do you have to learn kelim kakos? Because Kamash wanted to mixes kelim. He wanted to teach you, even though you were made in the kelim itself a little bit, and you became a made by mixes, and now you're chai for the kelim itself. Then we're going to be megal with the Gilgal Shua. He wants to teach you that chai v'afal kakos, that you're going to be chai also on the kakos. Like what am I Kamash? What do you come to teach us? Zoikikin. Like in Gilgal Shua, Tanina, we already learned the Masechta Kiddushin about Gilgal Shua. Where do we learn it? It says you can take the nechosm shein la'machrais, which are metaltalin, and be megalgal on the karka to swear. Says I hear you. It's in Kiddushin, but here's Shvuis, Masechta Shvuis. Here's the Ikar where we learn out Gilgal Shua. There it's only alt agav, because there the whole topic was kinyan agav. That you could be kind of the metalton agav kakois. So they said, okay, I want to tell you another thing with metalton kakois that you megalgal shvua. But here in shvua is the ikar of Gilgal shvua. We said by Rabbi Abba said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan that the opposite, that if he said the Taina was chitn saying together and he was made them one of them, he's part of the shvua. Rabbi Yitzchak said he's chayiv, and Rabbi Yitzchak said Yisha. He said about Shmuel. You said the Chaynam Rabbi Yochanan. So you said that Rabbi Yochanan holds that he's chayiv. How could Rabbi Chia say that he's going to be potter? Says there's 2 Amoreim. They're arguing what Rabbi Yochanan said. If the Taina was chitn and together, and he was made in one of them, so Rabbi Yitzchak says he's chayiv, and Rabbi Chia says he's potter. No, Rish Lakish, we don't know yet if he's arguing.
He's still drinking.
Okay. Shema, come in here. I'll bring out the Mishnah. Says Gemara that Tani Chitin v'Hilei Nisayim Potter. It says if he Tani only Chitin and the not Chitin said just Chitin and it was made of a Nisayim, he's Potter. Rabbi Gamil Mechayiv. Rabbi Gamil says he's Chayiv because he doesn't hold of you have to be made of a Minat Taina.
He didn't mention anything about Sahih. He only asked the Chitin.
Right. So Rabbi Gamil holds.
Sahih.
Right, so Rabbi Gamil says Yechayiv. It doesn't have to be from the same min. He argues. Okay, so he's the only one that argues. The whole reason why the Tanakama said he's going to be potter, Rabbi Gamil said it's Chayiv, but the Tanakama said he's going to be potter. What was the whole reason? Because he only Tainet Chitin and he was made in Seirim. Oh, Chitin was Seirim. What if the Taina would have been both? He would be Chayiv Ashvua. So you see, it goes like Rabbi Yitzchak. Not like Rabbi Chia, it's a kasha Rabbi Chia. So you want to know, it's not a kasha Rabbi Chia. Really, even if he would have said chitn he would also be potter. Why would you learn with the case only he was said chitn and he was made of a the machlekes? You should have said if the machlekes is even where he tied chitn say there the machlekes. To teach you the koich of Rabbi Gamil that even though he only tied chitn and he was made of a and it's still a made of a mixes according to Rabbi Gamil. That's the chiddush. Even it's completely.
Who brought up the subject of the other one? He ties one thing and he brings another thing into the picture.
Yeah, that's it. I told you I had Mr. Lamberg as my English teacher. I asked him, could I go to the bathroom? He says he could open the window. That's nothing to do. That's how it happened. It's tied in the
Same thing.
Or you go to a store, can I have potato chips? Yeah, you can have popcorn.
No, it's the same thing. It's a
But he
grain,
says
it's
the
a
same
grain,
It's a grain.
Whatever, chitin says.
Tashma says, you want to come in here, I'll bring you a raya from our Mishnah against the B'chia B'Rabba. It says, Tana Kelim V'Kakos. He Tana Kelim and Kakos. But Kelim V'Kakos. He was made in the Kelim, but he denied in the Kakos. But Kakos will come in the Kelim. Potter is Potter. Hoida B'Mikzas Karka. Potter, because Einish by Matris or Hoida B'Karka. How about B'Mikzas Kelim? Chayiv. It's going to be Chayiv. Time in the Kelim V'Kakos. It's only because it was Kelim V'Kakos. How about because the kakala bashvui? How kelim and kelim doing the kelim and kakais? What's if there's two different types of kelim, two different meaning of kelim, and he was made it to one? So chayiv, you say it's going to be chayiv. So you have a raya, even though it's two different meaning, and he's made it to one meaning, it's chayiv. Says you want to know who are the nafil kelim and kelim potter? Nami potter. Even kelim and kelim is also potter. Well, kamashwan. This is what he's come to teach us. The heidim mixes kelim, even if he was made in part of the kelim. And he now became Chayiv Ashur, we're going to say Chayiv, he's going to be also the swear, it's a Gilda Shvur. He's going over the whole Yimara again. What is he coming to teach us? Zoykikin. He coming to tell us Gilda Shvur. Tanina, we already learned the Masech the Gilda. That Zoykin has to Lechas from Yesh Lama Chaz, Lishama Alayim. And the Yimara. Zoykin means that you're Megalgal, the Shvur, from the Metaltlin onto the Kakais. So the Yimara, you're right. We know from Masechta Kiddushin, but Masechta Shvizah, the Ikka. Ahiv, the one in Masechta Kiddushin, Agav Granaz, but he mentioned as a side note, because the Ikka was talking about Kinyan Agav. That on Karka, you could be kind of Agav, the Metalflin on the Karka. So the Gemara Esvei, so the Gemara asked the Kasha, Rabbi Esvei, Rabbi Abba, they asked on Rabbi Abba. Tana is Shay, if he tied a Shay, he was made of a or said v'hidle b'shoy. Potter is potter. Tana b'shoy v'isa v'hidle b'achman chayv. It's chayv ashvor. So you have So and B'chia B'Rabba says Rabbi Yechon says he's potter zakasha. Amalei homani. That wasn't that Rabbi Yechon. That was Am Gamliel. Am Gamliel says you don't need from the same mean. Says you want to eat Am Gamliel. Afilu reishanami. If it's Am Gamliel, so even the reisha, you could say shoy v'isa. What do you have to say? One, you would be chayv. You would be chayv ashvur, even if it was shayed. I'm sorry, he tied only shayed, and he was made a seh. Even there you chayv. Hamani, and we said he's potter. We said if it was only one min that he tied for, and he was made another min, we said he's potter. If it's Am Gamil says it doesn't matter. Even if he's tying as one min and he's made it to another min, Am Gamil says it's chayiv, and that Mishnah says he's potter. Says you're right. Al-Hamani Admani. It's Admin. Admin says that if the tiny was two minim and it was made into one min, then he's considered as a made of a mitzvah. And he says he's not coming to say it just as a push away and give you a stam answer. It was clear that this sheet of the Braisa that said that he's going to be potter if he only said shayr and he was made a seh, that he's going to be potter. But if the Tana was shayr v'seh and he was made a seh, l'chatchila he knew was Adman. It's not like he had to have a meaning of Gamil and then came to Adman. L'chatchila was Adman. He says. This guy he's making a trick. He knows this guy's going to tie a chitin usayren. And he's going to be made in one. He'll be a made of a mixas. So when he tied it chitin, he didn't let him say another word. I made it to you. I have saying him. So there's no more made of a mixas because his whole time was chitin. So he says. So we look at this guy in Kemaidim. We figure out. We ask him a couple of questions, and if it looks like he's coming with a trick that he shouldn't be a made of a mixas, then chayiv is still going to be chayiv to swear, and we're going to consider it as if he tied it both minim. Chitin usayim. Yeah, ve'im b'miskavin, or but if he did b'tachmimis, he jumped to say, no, I only owe you sayim, but not to make it ois make the mix says then he'll talk and be part mishwar. He tied two needles, even though they're worth very little. But he says since you could do a lot of malacha with it, it has a chshivas. And he was made of chayv, he's chayv b'shvua. Yeah. Lefikach yatsu kalim. And he says, L'shem, that's why he excluded kalim from the cloud, that even if he's made in one needle, he's still going to be chayv. And you don't need a kfira on shtei mais. Lama shehin. He's telling you that he's chayv to swear on the kalim the way it is, even though it's less than shtei kesef. That's the chiddush. Amar Papa Tanu Kelim Pruta. If he tied it kalim and a pruta, v'hoyde bekelim v'kafa bepruta. Potter. Hoyde bepruta v'kafa bekelim chayv. But if he was hoyde bepruta and kafa bekelim, it's chayv. He says chada kirav, chada kishmol, chada kirav. The first thing that we said, if he was tying a kalim and pruta and he was made bekelim, that's kirav. The Amar kfiris hatayna shtei kesef. You need kfiris hatayna of 2 kesef. Therefore he's potter. He only no, you're liking what? A pruta. The chada and the second din where he's hoyde bepruta but the kafa bekelim is kishmol dana. That you don't have to be made. If he was made, if he tied it both minin, and it was made to one of the minutes, it's going to be considered as a mixas, and it'll be chayv b'shvua.